Hello there everyone, and welcome to another Thomas the Tank Engine review video. This time I am looking at something very different from Thomas Wood and Railway or Thomas Wood. I am taking a look at the minis, the Thomas minis, and I've been collecting the Thomas minis for a while, mostly to put onto the Superstation, because I just think that the minis look pretty cool in general. And when I was looking on eBay, I actually came across Power Ranger themed minis, and I was like, wow, I did not even know that these existed. So I decided to get them, and now I am taking a little review on these characters. Now, they actually released 2 sets of the Power Ranger themed Thomas minis, and what you are looking at is the first set of the Thomas and Friends minis, and I will take a look at them individually just right now. First, here we have Thomas as the Blue Ranger. It does make sense since Thomas is a blue tank engine, so he would, of course, be dressed as the Blue Ranger. And taking a look at the front, you can see the little Triceratops motif on the helmet of the Blue Ranger, also known as Tricera Ranger in Koyu Sentai Zyuranger, which was the Japanese series that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was based upon. And what they have done here with all of the minis that take on the appearance of the Rangers, they have the white coupling points and the white wheels. Well, they do for most of them, but there is one exception, and I will get to that in a moment, but you probably already know what it is, but we will get to that. So that right there is Thomas as the Blue Ranger. Here is Rosie as the Pink Ranger, and I guess this does make sense, since when Rosie first made an appearance in the TV series, she did have kind of a purplish pink color, instead of the modern red color that she has now. So it is fitting that she would be the Pink Ranger. And you can see on her face, I can't really see the, oh, now I can see the pterodactyl eyes. You know, when it came to looking at the helmets on the Rangers, it was kind of hard to see that, try to determine where the actual eyes of the Ranger were supposed to be. Obviously, it's supposed to be the black part on the helmet where the eyes are, and with the Pink Ranger's helmet, it was the easiest to be able to tell where the eyes were actually supposed to be, because we did not have the big pterodactyl eyes just kind of distracting from the viewers. And next, here we have Hero as the Black Ranger, which makes sense since Hero is a black-colored engine. And as you can see, he does have that mastodon or mammoth-based helmet shown. Depending on whether you're watching the original Japanese series or the American adaptation, it's very different what kind of animal it's supposed to be. In the Japanese series, it was called a mammoth, but in the American series, it was a mastodon. And I'm pretty sure that they are 2 different types of animals. But, looking at the helmet, you just would not even know what it was supposed to be. So, I guess it makes good sense that they would choose Hero to be the Black Ranger in this series. I do remember watching Steam Team ReW's Thomas and Friends / Mighty Morphin Power Rangers parody series. If you even think that the word parody is the right word, there has been some debate about that, actually, but everybody's been calling them parodies, so that has to be correct, right? I mean, everybody calls it that, so it should not be wronged in any way. But anyway, in that series, he actually had Donald or Douglas be playing Zack the Black Ranger, not Hero. Although, I don't think Hero was even in existence yet when he made those videos, like, almost a decade ago. So, yeah. And, of course, I don't think we've had any minis on Donald or Douglas be released yet. I mean, I could be wrong, but I have not seen any Donald or Douglas minis be released whatsoever. And then, the last one in this pack is the only engine that is not based upon a Ranger, but is actually based upon one of the villain characters in Power Rangers. This here is Victor, dressed as Goldar, the flying monkey-based monster that served Rita. He was also known as Grifzor in Koyu Sentai Zyuranger. And you can see the front of the face kind of having that kind of bluish face that Goldar had, as well as the wings on the top, and the symbol on the side for Goldar, and my cat is in the background again. So that is the first pack. Now let's go on to the second. Okay, so here we go with the second pack of the minis in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Thomas Minis series. This is the set that came in today. So now we're going to look into them. Here we have James, the Red Engine, who fittingly is the Red Ranger. And you can see the Tyrannosaurus-based helmet on his face. And it's generally a very, very interesting looking mini. I mean, when I was a kid, the Red Ranger was my favorite out of all of them, and James was also my favorite engine. I mean, I just really liked the color red when I was a kid, so it was pretty much great that they actually put my two favorites from my childhood into one thing. I just saw the color red as being the color of a leader, since the Red Ranger was the original leader. Well, of course, that was how it was during the first season and the first half of Season 2, but then, when the White Ranger came in, which we will also talk about in a moment, they changed the leader from it being Jason the Red Ranger to Tommy the White Ranger, and I think that was done based upon how in the middle half of in the second half of the second season, 3 of the actors had left the show and they needed to replace them. And, it made more sense that they would have a more experienced Ranger still leading the team rather than having a new Red Ranger come in and try to lead the team that consisted of 2 other rookie Rangers and 3 more experienced Rangers. So next here we have Emily, who appears as the Yellow Ranger. Certainly an odd fit, considering that Emily is not even yellow. She is an emerald green. If it was me that was doing these minis, I think that I probably would have picked either Molly or Rebecca to be the Yellow Ranger, because they are both yellow engines. Although Rebecca was more recently introduced to the series, and we have not seen Molly for quite a long time. In fact, I don't think that we have even seen her since the CGI switchover. Of course, Steam Team ReWK did use Molly for his parody series, so that certainly made sense right there, but, the people that made these minis just went with Emily, because they just thought that it would be the most fitting bit right there. Now, of course, this is based upon how it is in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, where they had the Yellow Ranger be a girl. In the original Japanese series, they had the Yellow Ranger be a boy, but they changed the gender to female so that we would have 2 female members on the team instead of just 1, which explains why Trini did not ever wear a skirt like Kimberly did. And the choice of having Emily appear here as the Yellow Ranger which would also contrast Steam Team ReWK's parody series, where he actually had Emily play Catherine, the second Pink Ranger, after Kimberly left the show in Season 3. Next, I'm taking a look at a engine that is not one of the Rangers. It is actually Alpha 5, the robot assistant of the Rangers, and they used Diesel, strangely enough, as Alpha. I mean, that seems like kind of an odd choice to have Devious Diesel be Alpha. I mean, I would not have thought of having Diesel be Alpha. Steam Team ReWK used Percy as Alpha. And it also does not make sense considering that Alpha is a mostly red robot while Diesel is black. But, you know, the colors do look pretty nice with the red and the gold. I mean, I think that it even looks better than Alpha himself, to say the least. They did also add in the lightning bolt on Diesel's side. So that's a pretty nice touch to reflect how Alpha had that lightning bolt on his chest in the original series. It was kind of a more curvish look compared to the more straight look that Alpha had at the start of Power Rangers Turbo. And of course then his successor, Alpha 6, had the more straight lightning bolt just like he did at the start of the series. But of course when Zordon and Alpha briefly returned in the Turbo episode Passing on the Torch, he does return to his original shape. I'm not sure what the explanation for that is, though. Not entirely sure. So, there's Diesel as Alpha. Next, we are going to take a look at this mini, which is Percy as the Green Ranger. And, honestly, I kind of think that he looks more like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle because of the gold shield on his side. And you can see at the front, there's the, the emblem of the Green Ranger, who is based on a dragon. He was known as Dragon Ranger in Koyu Sentai Zyuranger. And I suppose it is fitting for Percy to be the Green Ranger since he is a green tank engine. But Steam Team ReWK had Oliver be Tommy, not Percy. As I've said before, he had Percy play Alpha. So that right there is Percy as the Green Ranger, the first Ranger identity that Tommy ever had. But the second identity of a Ranger that Tommy ever had would be the White Ranger. But in this case, we this time have Stanley as the White Ranger. And, I guess it, again, it's very fitting, because Stanley is a silver tank engine, and that's almost white. Although, unlike with the rest of the minis, Stanley has gold wheels, not white like the others did. And on the side, you can also see the little White Ranger body shield on the side right there, and then take a look at his face, which has the White Ranger emblem, or the White Ranger detail on his helmet right there. That certainly is pretty cool. A very good look for this mini right here. And of course, for those that don't know, Stanley, the White Ranger actually came from a different Japanese series. The White Ranger costume came from Gosei Sentai Dai Ranger, which was where most of the footage from Season 2 had come from, and he was basically the only Ranger from that Sentai to be carried over to the US. At least until Super Mega Force, when they brought the rest of the Dai Ranger suits in as a legendary Ranger mode for the team. Next up, we are taking a look at this mini right here. This is Belle as Rita Repulsa, the main villain of the first season of Power Rangers, also known as Witch Bandora from Koyu Sentai Zyuranger. And it's actually quite an interesting idea of Belle appearing as Rita. Steam Team Redub used Daisy as Rita because he thought that Daisy's personality fit Rita better, though I think he actually used Emily at first, but then changed it out to Daisy later on. And, you know, once again, Belle did not even exist yet when he made those videos. In fact, I don't even think the CGI series had even existed or had even actually been brought out. Maybe the announcement was already made, but, you know, Belle was not in existence yet during that time. So, you know, she takes on a very different color from her usual blue color, taking on this very dark orange color that Rita's outfit has. And you can see on the face, there's the little hood that Rita has on her head, the large witch's hat, because her Japanese counterpart was referred to as a witch. So, that right there is Belle. Very funny to have a rescue engine be dressed as a villain character. More fittingly is this mini right here that shows Diesel 10 as Lord Zed, the main villain of the second season of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, who is well known as one of the greatest villains in Power Ranger history, as well as also being the very first US exclusive villain, a villain character that did not come from Japan. And this character, of course, is Diesel 10. I don't know if I've already mentioned that, but it is Diesel 10. And he takes on a very darkish red color, since Lord Zed is a dark red colored villain. And there's his staff on that side, and it's also on this side as well. And there's the face right there, and you can see the influence of Lord Zed. Very nice, if I do say so myself. And then here we have Salty dressed as Finster, the monster maker, the character that created the monsters for Rita during the first season. Although I don't think they did very much during the following seasons, because, you know, Lord Zed created his own monsters from various different, you know, things. Didn't use the same clay that Rita had Finster use to create her monsters. And I would have to say this is a very interesting choice to have Salty be Finster. I certainly think that this would work out really well, even though Salty is one of the more kinder Diesels. But Finster, even though he was one of the villain characters, he did not seem all that threatening as a villain. He did not directly attack the Rangers. He was just a monster that was working for the main villain, and all he did was create the monsters. He didn't really have any particular hatred for the Rangers whatsoever. He was just kind of a not-so-threatening villain of the series. And then, last but not least, we have Gordon as one of the putties. The gray clay fighters, the enemy foot soldiers, the first set of enemy foot soldiers in Power Rangers. There's a look at the face where you can see the little detail from the putties, as well as these black stripes on the side, as well as a star. Did the putties have stars? I don't remember if they ever had any stars. But yeah. So, Gordon was picked to be a putty. I personally think it would have made more sense if they actually had it be a truck that was picked to be a putty, but they went with Gordon instead. So my overall thoughts about this particular series of minis that have the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers motif to them, it certainly was an interesting one, taking two of my favorite childhood TV shows and mashing them up together. Because, you know, I had been a fan of Power Rangers and a fan of Thomas the Tank Engine for as long as I can remember. So it certainly is great to see both of them be brought together in official merchandise. You know, with the minis doing all sorts of different series mashups like this. So what do you think of these minis in the series? Do you think that the choices were all good, or is there something that you would have done to change the, you know, the choice of the characters? Personally, I probably would make a few changes, like maybe have Daisy be Rita, a Truck be a Putty. I'm not quite sure who I would choose to be Goldar instead of Victor, like maybe Airy or Bert, because that was what Steam Team ReWK did in his parody series. And, you know, overall I think that this was a very good looking series. I'm not sure if there's going to be any more particularly good mini-series that I may end up collecting. I am collecting various different minis to put onto the Superstation, but we'll just have to see what happens. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time.